to the Orlando podcast.
But like people knew who I was. So I really built it on the island. I started it and was going to roll with it in North Carolina. The Marine Corps said absolutely not. And so I just kind of adapted to Oahu. And so this move to Florida really was a challenge because I had to forget absolutely everything that I had learned as a
Mhm.
business owner there to learn what I needed to do here because it's totally different. My products that sold over there are not bestsellers here.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Orlando podcast. With me here today, I have Megan Slaton. Hi, Megan. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. So, Megan, we're going to start off the same way we do with everybody. Why do you do what you do?
So I am a custom cake decorator and baker. I started baking at 16. You know that home ec class you had to do in high school back in the day? I don't know if it's still required now. Um, but I had to do it for my class grade. I had to enter a county fair and bake a cake like from scratch, and I had to submit it. And it looked absolutely terrible. Like I'm not even gonna lie, but I was star from the beginning. Like no, it was absolutely terrible. It looked terrible, but the taste was fantastic, and I actually won based on the taste. So I really enjoyed the process, even though like at first I was like, no, I really don't want to do this. Like this sucks. But like once they really liked it and like my family tried pieces because I made like leftovers, like have to level the cake and like they're like, oh yeah, this is actually really good. I was like, okay, maybe I can turn this into something. And it just became a hobby that turned into a passion. And now I just have a full-time business following my husband with his career as a Marine and 3 kids. So
Well, that's cool.
yeah.
What kind of cake was it that won based off of taste?
It was a chocolate cake with chocolate buttercream because that is my grandfather's favorite cake. So I figured I was gonna make something because you could get it back, like they'd slice up the pieces or whatever. And I was like,
Right.
okay, well, like worst comes worst, like I'll have Papa try it because he's a pretty good judge of chocolate cake. That's his favorite.
Very cool. So, what's the name of your business that you're running right now?
Yes, it's called Sugar, Spice, and All Things Iced.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. And primarily, who are your customers?
Honestly, I get a little bit of everybody. So I just moved back to the Central Florida area. My husband and I are from Florida. But like I said, he's a Marine. We just came from Oahu. And I had customers from all over. I had customers that were on our base, multiple, like the Navy branch, the Air Force branch, the Army branch bases, customers that lived like no military affiliation. I had an international wedding. I had people that knew me that lived
Hmm.
on Oahu that knew somebody that knew somebody that was coming from Canada for a destination wedding. So I mean, like honestly, I have customers from all over the place. Birthdays, weddings, just because I've done the Marine Corps ball cake. That's a really big honor. I was excited to do that one. Um, Honestly, anybody that likes cake doesn't even have to be a reason. Those are my customers.
Where do you find that you encounter most of your customers? Where do they come from? Is it all word of mouth? Are you doing social media? Are you focusing on a specific strategy to generate business?
I wish that I could tell you that I had like a really solid strategy, but I kind of just roll with it. I try to have a social media presence. Like I go on the Facebook suite and I, like pre-record posts so that way like I get the engagement numbers and all that for the algorithm. Um, a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of my business has simply been word of mouth. Like people have tried it and they refer their friends who refer their friends. I did recently set up a Google profile because I'd never thought to do like something like that. I didn't know I
Hmm.
could. I thought it had to be like a whole like organization. Apparently, I can just do that, and that has helped. I've actually gotten in the past like 2.5 weeks. I've had about 5 people just call me asking, "Is this the bakery?" And I've gotten some cake orders out of it because I've had the availability to do it.
That's great. Yeah. And Google My Business, for any entrepreneur that's listening, is an incredible tool that anybody has access to. You'd
Yeah,
set up a free profile. You can make posts on there. And so, pro tip for you, post as
yeah,
often as you can. Post pictures of all your cakes. Google is one of those great beasts that the more data you give it, the more it will promote you to people and help you in your search results as people are looking for what you do.
Yes, which is great because I was simply relying on people like Facebooking and Instagramming cakes and hashtags to find me. And I've had really good luck with the Google like SEO. People are saying that I'm like either the second or third option, like when they Google cakes near Orlando. So I don't know what I did right, but we're not going to jinx it. We're going to let the Google gods keep doing what they're doing.
Well, there's a good chance not a lot of other people are doing it, and so
That's true
rewarded
too.
for just going out and doing it yourself. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, that's really cool. What is what's the what cake have you made that was your favorite? Like, what was the most fun project? I know you mentioned the Marine Ball, and that was a big honor. But was
Yes.
there a custom cake that you made for somebody that you're like, that was really fun, really cool, or just really interesting?
So for the Aloha markets that they used to do over on Oahu, I participated in, they would ask you to do a raffle item. Um, and I made a cake, like a little 6-inch cake, and I don't know if I'm gonna find a picture right now. I'd have to scroll for a long time probably, but I decorated it as a sunrise cake with the mokes on it. And I know that a lot of people, I just need you to go Google that. um,
Gotcha. Okay.
Mokes. It's near Lanikai Beach, and it was my absolute favorite place to be on the island. Like they literally had like a beachway that would open up to the water with some stairs, and you could just sit there and watch the water like with these islands off in the distance. It was my favorite place to be. And so I like recreated that on a cake, and I got so many compliments on it, and it was just really like heartwarming, I guess, to have that. Like that was one of my first markets I did, and that really helped grow my business right there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, do you have any limitations on the type of cakes you can make or customizations you could do? Can you make like crazy Ninja Turtle kids cakes and that kind of stuff, or what level are we talking when we talk custom cakes?
I truly don't like working with fondant. Um,
Okay.
I make everything out of buttercream, like the buttercream you can get at Publix for all like the local Florida people that know what that is. Um, if you don't know what Publix is, I'm sorry for you. um, I just don't like working with fondant personally. It's a pain to color. It's a pain to roll out. It does give like remarkably like smooth edges and things like that. Um, if I need like a fondant topper, 90% of the time I'll order off Etsy because
Hmm.
there's people that will just make custom fondant toppers. And so I'll just go to them and support another small business and use it that way. Most of the time I can accommodate designs like in any capacity, and if I'm uncomfortable I am very like upfront, like, hey, I don't do this, but I know somebody who can, and then I will refer them off to somebody else.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How? What's your plan for this business? How big do you want it to be?
I don't know, that's a very good question because I've thought that through. Like, everybody wants to like make it big. I don't think I want to ever franchise it. Like I want it to be mine. Because even my husband was like, what happens when you get bigger? You're gonna have to hire people. It's like, oh, it's because like I have like the passion. I have built this like thing that I want to take care of, and I don't know if other people are ever gonna have that same love and appreciation for it. And the truth is, like, I just don't think that they will. Um, I want it to be like kind of like the mom and pop kind of bakery. I'm not ever going to franchise it, I don't think, and just grow it for my family to have, like, the sustainable income, the life that we want. Working from home is my only option with 3 children, with the cost of daycare, and my husband moves every 3 to 5 years. So, I mean, like, everything is stacked against me to have a physical, like, 9 to 5. So I've
Hmm.
had to get creative. And that's what really made me start my business.
That's great. When you started the business to start generating income, what was the goal? What did you want to do with the money? Because making money for the sake of making money is pretty empty. There had
Yeah.
to have been a reason why you wanted to sell cakes as opposed to just make cakes for friends because you love doing it. So
Yeah.
can you identify what that motivation was?
Yeah, so actually, now you mentioned it, like I did start off making cakes for friends, but like as the friends referred to friends, I was like, okay, like maybe I should start charging. So I started charging for like just supplies, and then I started getting bigger. And like once I fully committed, I committed in March of 2018. So I've been in business for 5 years. Um, and it was, how do I help my husband support the family financially? We were fine with one income. We're very blessed to be fine with one income. But
Hmm.
how can I bring in extra? How can I help build the savings? How can I help us afford to go on family vacations without breaking the bank? Really, the goal is to help build the family with my business.
Got it. And how's it been going?
It's going great. I mean, granted, the Marine Corps let us go live in Oahu for 4.5
Right.
years, but it was a very nice perk. We ended up going to the other islands a couple times. COVID ruined a lot living over there with it shutting down, but we were fortunate to be able to go to some of the other islands and explore. And my business allowed that. My cake business, I was able to raise the money to get a service dog for my son. My son is special needs; he has autism,
Hmm.
um, and I used my business to generate the income to afford that. So, that was a huge thing. I did have some other organizations that helped donate. I can't take 100% of the credit, but what they were not able to cover, I was able to with my business. And like that was just a good feeling. Like, I have done something that has provided for my child and my family.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's, I think that's really important for every business owner to really identify why are they going to do it, because just doing it for the sake of the money, it won't take you very far.
No.
You got to have that discipline and that really driving motivational factor. For me, it was time with my daughter. Right, I didn't want to have to sit in an office all day, 5 days a week, and trade my time for money. I wanted to have the freedom to decide to go to SeaWorld on Friday morning because my kid's
Yeah,
not in school, right? So,
exactly.
um, that's very inspiring, and I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
uh, how long have you guys been here in Central Florida now? I know that you mentioned that originally you were in Oahu,
Yes.
and your husband got was moved or stationed somewhere else. And so, how long have you guys been here, and how long do you anticipate to be here in the region?
So we moved back here in September of last year. We moved up
Okay.
to Apopka in October. So he had like a month of trying to figure out where we were going to find a new house and where he was going to actually be located. So we were staying with our family out in Lakeland because that's where we're both from. And we're anticipated to be here 3 years. He's on a special duty assignment. He's a Marine Corps recruiter for the next 3 years. His
Oh, okay.
typical job, if you can see, like right behind me, he does the howitzers. He's an artilleryman. So, you know, we move every 3 to 5 years. This duty is a 3 year assignment. So around October of 2025, we'll be on to the next.
Okay. Is does do you think your family career military for a long time? Is there an end in sight, or just forever until they won't let them stay anymore?
I don't I don't know if it'll be forever. He has actually been in for 11 years in August. So he's going for the full 20. Like we're on the downhill side. We've just made it over the hill, so now we're just going to try and coast it out. This duty will take him to almost 14 years. So hopefully after this one is over, we'll only have two more moves tops. Again, we're going to cross my fingers and not jinx ourselves. So,
So were you guys in Oahu when you started the business, or did you start it somewhere else and then you guys moved there?
Hey, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe so you can help us get the word out about these amazing people and businesses here in the Orlando area. Don't miss out on upcoming episodes and help out the show. Now let's get back to it.
so my husband was in North Carolina first in
Hmm.
Lejeune. That's Jacksonville on the East Coast. We got married in 2017, and then he got orders March 2018, roughly. Like literally, as I started my business, he was like, oh, by the way, we're moving in June. And I'm like, of course we are. Of course we are. Because that is how it goes with the military. As soon as
Sure.
something like goes right and you've got something like it's going to be fine, they just like to come through and mess that up for you.
Sure.
So I started it and then I had to say, okay, well, I am no longer starting it. I'm just pick it up when I get to where we're going. Um, so we got on island June 2018, like late June, and I had brought some of my baking pans like with me because like I
Hmm.
wasn't sure what it was going to be like. I volunteered with my husband's unit and I did bake sales and things like that, and I kind of wanted to at least get that going because
Hmm.
then people would have like the taste of like, oh, what my cupcakes, my cake slices, like everything tasted like. And they had a bake sale within 2 weeks of us moving there. And like, I just hit the ground running and like made all this stuff. And the lady was like, this is insane. You just got here. I was like, yeah, but like, here, just take it. Like, this is me. This is what I do. I am an overachiever. Just take everything and sell it. And it was a hit. Like, everybody wanted to know where they got the cupcakes from. And then it kind of just like came to a head with that, and everybody's like, oh yeah, she's the girl. I became the cake lady on our base. Like everybody knew who I was. I would be like walking out in town like off of base, and I had somebody stop me and say, don't you own the cake business, sugar spice nothing's ice? I was like, yes. Like I was like, what's the right answer? It's like when you get those spam calls, it's like, I don't know, is my name Megan today? Like I don't know. But like people knew who I was, so I really built it on the island. I started it and was going to roll with it in North Carolina. The Marine Corps said absolutely not. And so I just kind of adapted to Oahu. And so this move to Florida really was a challenge because I had to forget absolutely everything that I had learned as a
Hmm.
business owner there to learn what I needed to do here because it's totally different. My products that sold over there are not best sellers here and vice versa. Like the things that I sell here that are my best sellers were not the best sellers there. So I've really had to unlearn everything and start over. Plus having no customer base. I mean, it's just been like taking cupcakes to the fire department, to my kids' schools, to my kids' therapies and being like, here, I also like this is my business. I had extras and trying to build by word of mouth that way.
That sounds really challenging and frustrating.
It it really is because like I had this super successful business here and like I've been in business for 5 years, but then I come to a place where there's plenty of cake decorators here and
Sure.
they are amazing. Like I have seen some of their work and I've tasted some of it. And the thing is though, like I feel like business owners feel like, oh, she's better, he's better, so it's my competition. It's not a competition.
Hmm.
I can't take every cake order in Central Florida. It's not humanly
Right.
possible. So they're not my competition. Like if I can't do it and they can help, like vice versa. Like it needs to be a trade and like a supportive community because that's what I had there. And here I feel like everybody's like competition. Everybody's so blindsided, like I have to be the best. And it's like, but you can't physically do everything. So it's impossible. Like
Have, have you thought about networking with all the other cake makers, or connecting with as many as you can, and saying, "Hey, if you have any overflow orders, I'd love an opportunity to help." Is that something that you've done since you've moved here?
I have reached out to a couple. So there have been some like local bakeries that I've gone to and like tried their cake to see like what, not competition, but like what is offered. Like what
Right.
does theirs taste like? Do I offer similar things, like textures, flavor fillings? Maybe they have like things that I've never thought of and it's like, okay, maybe I can incorporate that. Um I've networked with a few like local bakers as far as like home bakers like myself. Um, but I don't know if they have like the overflow that I would
Sure.
need. Plus, I don't want to be like the new person coming and being like, yeah, like I'll totally take your orders. like I've told people because I've networked like with Sheena, like I think that's where we met, like in the
Yeah.
Orange Blossom group. Like I am only here for a short time. Like I am not coming in to destroy the livelihoods of everybody around me that have created like these successful bakeries because I'm leaving in 3 years. So like my goal is
Right.
not to come in and crush everybody and then just like leave everybody in the dust and go to another state. Um, but yeah, I'm just, networking as best as I can, looking for markets, pushing myself out there, trying to do podcasts like this and just being visible to the public so that way, they see my brand, my logo, they know my story, they can relate maybe, and
Yeah.
then they become a customer, you know.
Yeah. I'm curious, having a successful business on Oahu and then moving here and basically starting over and having to relearn it, most people would probably give up. They probably just say, okay, that it was too much work the first time. To do it a second time is insanity. What have you done, or who have you connected with that helped you maintain that positive mindset of, no, I can do this again. Like if I can do it there, I can do it here, I can do it anywhere. Especially since you're
I'm
a part
leaving
timer,
again.
right?
And
I
I'm
mean, I
leaving
think a lot
again.
of people would be like, "What? Why waste the energy and the time?" So, where does that come from? Because most people don't have that kind of mentality. Was there someone in your life that you saw, behave in this way or adopt that mentality that have spoken into you? Where did that grit come from, for lack of a better term?
Hey, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe so you can help us get the word out about these amazing people and businesses here in the Orlando area. Don't miss out on upcoming episodes and help out the show. Now let's get back to it.
No, that's a fair question. It is probably insanity. And I won't lie, I thought the idea of just like being done when we moved here and I realized like how hard this was gonna be. I did. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just wait because my hope is that we're gonna go back to Oahu after this. And I have such a good base. Like everybody messages me missing me. They're like, can you just like try to send it in the mail? I'm like, you don't want to pay the shipping. Like that would be
From Florida
not
to
even worth your
Oahu is
I
really
even
far.
entertained it and like pulled up the quotes for them and I was like, I as a human, like I can't do that to you. Like I cannot do that to you. Um my papa, I know I mentioned him with his chocolate cake obsession.
Yeah.
He told me from a very young age to plan your work and work your plan. That was his
I love that.
famous, like he always said that to me. Like I have it on my coffee cup that I have made with my logo. I have it on the back of some of my shirts. I have it everywhere. Like that stuck with me. And it sounds so simple, but I genuinely just sit down with anything in life and I think about what I want, where do I want it to go, and how do I get it there. So like that's the same thing like the SMART goals that everybody does or
Hmm.
like the what I want, how do I get there, plan it out, make it reasonable, make it, a timeline that actually works. It's not, like I'm not going to be a successful business owner by tomorrow in Florida. Like I'm not going to make $1 million a year by next year in Florida because, I'm still growing, you know, having those realistic goals, making it happen. Like the long-term goal is to have a storefront. Right now, in today's economy, a storefront would probably kill my business. It's just
Mm.
not working. COVID proved that. The amount of stores I saw shut down over on Oahu was just insane. Even here, mom and pop places are shutting down because they just can't afford the storefront. The costs are too much and the cost of the food and everything is going up. Like I've had to raise my prices and I hate doing that because the cost of everything to make the product has gone up. So I have to still make a profit or else I'm basically, like running a nonprofit cake business,
Yeah.
which is not really, where I want to take that. Um, so yeah, I guess just having the vision of what I want and remembering it when times are hard. So that way, like I can like push through it. Like I can have a bad day and I can be like, okay, I hate this and I don't want to do this anymore. But then like getting up the next day and being like, okay, now the drama's out of the way. Like let's take an action to get one step closer.
Yeah. I love that. And your papa sounds like a really smart man. Where did that wisdom that he shared with you come from? Was he a business owner? Did he work his whole life?
Yeah. He
I'm
worked.
terribly curious.
No, yeah. He worked his whole life. So if I am not mistaken, I want to say he was a second generation. His grandparents, I hope I'm not mistaken. It's either his grandparents or his great. I feel like it was his grandparents came over from Italy.
Hmm.
And they all lived in this tiny little town in Illinois that became like a city full of immigrated Italians. His first language was Italian. Like he had to learn English and adapt to the customs. Like our family name changed from
Mm.
Giadroni to Grandoni to try to Americanize it. I know it doesn't sound like much different, but like, you know, I think having to hustle from a very young age to fit in, to be accepted for being different. Plus, he grew up, he was born in 1939. So, like, he lived through all the wars and the rationing. So, he had to hustle for his whole life. He
Hmm.
married my grandmother. They had 3 kids. He worked at the same company his whole life. They moved him down to Florida. That's how, everybody's here in Florida now. But like, he was just a very smart man. He was smart with his money. And he is my role model. Like, the two of them as a couple are my role model for like what I want for my family.
That's great.
Yeah.
Plan your work, work your plan.
Yep.
It's
You
great
can totally
wisdom.
steal it. Like, you can totally have it. Plan your work your plan. That's what I mean. It's literally ingrained into my head, and I'm trying to teach that to my kids. Granted, 2 of them are 3 and 5. They're kind of too small to remember. But, trying to like plan your work your plan. Like, think things through and make it happen. You can do anything you want. You just have to think it through and take the reasonable steps to get there.
I love that. And lately I've been seeing a lot of people within my social circle comment about if you look at what you want and you only look at the end goal, chances are you won't start.
Hmm.
You need to create bite-size opportunities. The old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite
Yeah.
at a time.
Yep,
Um,
exactly. You have to just
you
take
know,
the little steps every day towards it, because it's not going to be overnight. And I think that's why so many people quit, is they get frustrated from not seeing the results, because they're like, well, I've done X, Y, and Z. Why am I not big enough yet? Why am I not making enough yet? And like,
yeah.
it's a very slow process. This is not, what is his name? Sam Walton. Isn't that the guy that owns Walmart? Like, he did not
Yep.
become a billionaire, literally a billionaire overnight. Like, this was years, decades of like slow expansion. And now he's global. Now he's everywhere. Just like
Right.
Amazon. Started small. Now it's everywhere. So like, people just have to remember those overnight success stories are far and few, and you just have to keep at it if you want it to continue. And I mean, like, you're going to waste the years anyway, right? Like, the time is going to go by whether you're doing what you want to or not. You may as well just do what you want to and try it.
Mm,
The worst that happens is it doesn't work, but you can say you tried.
yeah. Well, and I think I forget who I saw say this the other day, but if you're under 40, you should be taking risks. You should be going out and trying to live the life that you have this deep seated desire to do, because you
Hmm.
still have time.
Yeah.
Once you get into your 50s and 60s, it's a lot harder to take
Yeah,
that risk, because now you're looking at the downslope. So,
exactly.
great piece of advice. So, what's your favorite type of cake to make? Still the chocolate with chocolate?
I mean, that is my papa's favorite. My personal favorite, I like lili koi, which is, that's how you say in Hawaiian, passion fruit. And
Oh,
I
okay.
realize as I said lili koi that you are looking at me like, what is that? It's passion fruit. That and guava are my absolute like favorite flavors, and I learned to love them over there. So
Uh-huh.
those cakes, like the tropical flavors, I love making cakes with those. This past weekend, I just delivered a cake. It was a 2-tiered cake from Apopka to Rockledge, which, if you don't know, that's like an hour directly
I know where
east.
Rockledge is. Yeah.
Okay. I did not. I have born and raised here in some of these cities. Like, we didn't venture much past like Lakeland. We went
Yeah.
south and like to Anna Maria. We didn't go everywhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Cocoa Beach, directly east. And I got that cake order. This is just like the networking, right? I got that cake order because one of my friends that I was stationed with on Oahu, her husband is also a Marine recruiter, and they're down in Rockledge, and somebody posted in a community group, I need a cake made. And she said, I know a lady, but she's an hour away, but I bet she would deliver if you paid a fee. And this woman passed up everybody that was recommended because she saw my reviews and everything I had done and booked me. So I made like this tropical cake, like a pineapple cake, and made it all Hawaiian. She wanted a luau party, and I delivered that. But like, that's a networking, like that. I would have
Yeah.
never gotten that if my friend wasn't there. Like,
Yeah.
but now she knows
That-
me, so she can use me. She can refer me to her friends that tried it. Like, so that's the networking. I'm eventually going to apparently be all over Central Florida because, I've got my family in Lakeland and all of their friends. I've done an order for Deltona. I'm out in Rockledge. I just got to go to the West now. I got to find somebody on the West Coast, and then I'll just be complete.
Well, I know some people on the West Coast. Hopefully, they'll see this episode online,
There you
and
go.
maybe they'll give
I'll
you a
add
call.
them to be my first West Coast customer.
Very cool.
Yes.
So, if people want to find out more about you and your business, where would be the best place for them to find that out?
Honestly, if you go to my website and scroll all the way down, you can find a link to my Facebook business and my Instagram business profiles. If you don't want to do that, you can just search me on Instagram, and I have a link tree in my bio that'll take you to everything I have. It'll be my website,
Okay.
Facebook, IG. I have like shirts that I've made and like things like that. Like every link for my business is in that.
What's the Instagram handle?
It's at sugar_and_spice_791.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes for folks.
They couldn't let me make it easy. Like I tried so many different things, but everybody has like the sugar and spice. So I had to like custom.
It's all good. We know the struggle of trying to get your tag.
It's ridiculous.
Very cool. If you were going to give a piece of advice to somebody who's thinking about starting a business or maybe has already started, what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody else who's thinking about starting a business?
I would tell them to start and then keep going. The idea is not going to come to fruition by staying inside of you. You have to just go for it, because if you don't go for it, you will probably regret it. Even if you fail, you've learned something. You took that risk on yourself. You've learned what made it not work or work, and you can adapt it to the next time. Just don't give up and keep going.
I love that. Don't give up and keep going. Do you consider yourself a reader? Are you into growth and personal development? Do you have any books that you've read that had a big impact on you, or any particular people that you follow and listen to what they say? Anything like that?
So I've actually just finished 2 books, and I was recommended these books in the Orange Blossom group in one of our networking meetings. One is called Be Our Guest, and it's based off of like the Disney Institute of like customer service, and that people are not customers or clients, they're guests that you've invited into your business. And it was a really good book and a different way to frame like customer service. I enjoyed that. So if you have a customer service based business, which, like most of them are, I definitely recommend going to find that. I found it at my library actually. So you don't even have to buy it. You can just like go to your library. Another one that I just finished was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And that one was a great book. Like this guy has some interesting views on like how rich people think and how poor people think. I know that sounds like, like degrading, but like I'm also one of the poor people. So don't worry, I'm not a millionaire. But like his perspective of how people think differently about money and like the blueprint, like he called it the blueprints on how you're set up for success. Like when you were a child, did your parents say money is the root of all evil? Did they say, oh, you may as well spend it because you can't take it with you? Like, how were you raised? What is the atmosphere you grew up with around money? And that is going to shape, whether you know it or not, how you manage your money as an adult. And like, that was just a huge mind shift for me, because it's like, I did hear all those things like growing up with my parents, but then I had my grandfather who mirrored like the investments and saving the money and having that. So like I have both worlds and trying to find the middle ground. And like he breaks down into steps. Like there's 17 like facts and steps that he breaks down on how to build up your wealth as a person and like financially. I literally just finished that book last night. Actually, I turned it back to the library this morning.
Awesome.
And I definitely recommend that book to anybody. You don't have to be a business owner.
So Be Our Guest and Millionaire Mindset.
Yep. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset.
Yep.
Got it.
Those are 2 really great books.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share your business with all of us here today. Really appreciate your candor. And I look forward to trying some of your cakes sometime. So
if you're in Orlando,
my birthday's coming up, so maybe we'll get a cake. So
There you go.
I
I happen to know somebody.
you happen to know somebody? All right.
I
Well,
happen to
carrot cake is my favorite. So
That is my favorite, and I make a delicious carrot cake. You will not be disappointed then.
okay. All right. Well, normally I go to Charlie's Bakery, which is a Orlando institution. However, they sold that business not that long ago, and there's new owners, and it's just a little different. So
Aw.
we'll see. But anyways,
Yes.
thank you so much for being here, and thank you to everyone that listened to this episode. We really appreciate it, and we hope. Bye, Central Florida.